What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Blade Showcase, and we're finally going to be playing Torna, the Golden Country, an amazing DLC in its own right. And the nice thing about Torna is that it's familiar enough for those of us to have played this game for hundreds of hours and feel right at home with the new combat system, but it's also different enough that it feels like a unique experience on its own. There's quite a few differences in terms of how combat works in comparison with the core Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And it's for this reason that we're going to be changing around the format for how we're going to do these showcases. Instead of having an individual Blade showcase, we're going to be doing team showcases. There's going to be 3 videos for this little series of ours, and we're going to start things off with Team Lora. Lora is probably my favorite character in this entire DLC, both in terms of story and in terms of how she plays. The way that she was designed is fairly obvious. The designers of this game wanted to make sure that you have a character that can essentially carry you through the game with very little effort involved. So the thing about Lora, what makes her so good, is that she has a very reliable source of break through her driver skills, and you can see over here that her ability to do breaks Hungry Snake also drops potions, meaning that you can, particularly in early game, spam Swallow's Flight in between in order to have a reliable source of break over and over again to keep those driver combos going. The thing about Swallow's Flight is that you can actually, just like with all the other talent arts, cancel an auto attack by activating this, meaning you will be able to build your specials that much faster. And seeing how you fully recharge all of your arts right from the get-go, you're going to be filling up specials quite quickly. In terms of all of her other arts, it's pretty easy to see why she's so useful. She also has an ability that lowers the resistance of your opponents, meaning that you will be able to land breaks more reliably. She does come with a launch with her switch art. You probably won't be using it that much since she does initiate the breaks, and in terms of getting the topples, you're probably going to rely on Hugo to do that for you instead of Jin, or you might even have Adam on a switch-in from Mithra or Minoth. But for the most part though, you will be doing a lot of the breaks yourself, and that's exactly why Lora's so good for initiating and being the player character. The other thing that makes her so good is the fact that she has Jin and Haze. They are amazing blades in their own right for having amazing offensive potential and amazing support potential. So you see Jin is probably going to be the first and only amazing attacker ice-type blade that isn't Poppy QT Pie, and he does his job really well with his amazing passives. Same thing can be said for Haze. She is like the ultimate support unit. I wish both of these characters were available in the core game, but we'll make do with what we have right now. So in terms of Lora herself, I already pointed out that the majority of the time you're going to be spamming your break ability, but once you have 2 pouch items, then it only takes 2 step cancels to fully recharge the break, meaning you don't have to sacrifice your HP anymore, which is very important when you're fighting against the super bosses. So the ones that I have right now are going to be the 2 dessert items from Mithra and Jin's crafting abilities. So Wingberry Cake and Miracle Parfait. These basically just have the highest recharge for your arts out of all the items in Torna. And it's exactly what we want to do. We want to stack them, and stacking them is going to be very important too for the level 100 super boss, which we'll be demonstrating today. Just so you guys know, the way that we're going to do the team showcases is that since there are 2 blades per driver, or per team, we're going to be fighting against 2 super bosses per video, so please look forward to that one. Now, there's plenty of accessory options as per usual with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but before I look at that, I want to look at the weapon slot. This is fairly interchangeable. I would go as far as say that Lora is probably the most interchangeable. Of course, this does depend on your playstyle. For me, I prefer to not fix what's not broken, so I've decided just to keep things at fire, just to keep things simple for myself. And we also have Adam with the Electro Greatsword, and then, what's his name? Hugo with the Seismic Sword. I've also given them critical symbols and burst symbols because the chain attacks in this game are very important. So for the fight, it depends on what encounter you're going for to choose which accessories. For lower encounters or for enemies that are not immune to driver combos, I actually do prefer to give as much break resist reduction as possible, and the way to do that is to use the Beta Scope in conjunction with the Goddess Choker to increase your luck, to increase your chance of landing the break and then doing the driver combos that follow. But for now, I've decided to have more of an emphasis on tankiness as well as more critical damage because Jin does have a passive that increases his damage on criticals, so that's very, very important to keep in mind. Feel free to switch that out for something like a Gauntlet if you want to spam specials that much faster, or something more along the lines of an Abyss Mask to increase your damage, or a Leader's Eye Patch, since Lora is canceling all the time anyway. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the accessories. When it comes to Jin himself, I'm just going to quickly show you. For these videos, I know I have plenty of Moon Matters to spare, but I'm not going to use them because I'd prefer to show you guys that things are very much so possible without late game, or at least like the final incarnations of what weapons you would have. So I've decided to use the Winonite chip instead. The Winonite chip has a good amount of damage, and I would recommend working your way towards this. For the most part, you want to emphasize critical rate and auto attack damage as best as you can, since Jin's passive does have that. Speaking of which, his passives are very, very good. What I would show you here is Mind's Eye. This increases your critical damage by 80%, which is a crazy amount of damage. You're going to be hitting 6 digits at S+ during most of the chain attacks with all of his specials. And then Full Resonance, this is basically the phase transition tech for Telos and Cosmos. This increases your damage and your defense for max affinity. And then finally, Transmigration. For every change of Vanguard switch that you do, you're going to get 50% extra damage, so 5 switches is all you need to reach 250%. So his specials are really, really good too. Hail Strike hits many times, and if you initiate a chain attack from behind an enemy, you will get bonus damage. And then Zero Blade also hits many times, and this does increase damage to toppled enemies. Finally, there's Ice Revolution. It's a nice AoE attack, and the thing is though, once you're level 99, you're going to be higher level than most enemies in the game, except for the one super boss who is level 100, so that is going to be the only enemy that gets the bonus damage anyways. So going over to the Aux Cores, I would recommend going for some crits, but I've decided to forgo that for now because we do have a crit symbol in our party as it is, and just go for more damage. So I gave him the outdoor attack up and the affinity max attack 6, which is your reward for the affinity charts. Next up is going to be Haze. Haze, like I've said before, is like the ultimate support, and you'll know that very apparently in her passive. So first of all is going to be Headwinds. This increases the party's defense potential by reducing the damage they take by 20% at max affinity. Your driver is Lora, and Lora is canceling very constantly, so reaching max affinity, even with no Hunter's chemistries, is going to be no problem whatsoever. Same thing can be said for Tailwinds. Increase the damage of your party, the entire party, at 50%. This does also apply to chain attacks, so keep that in mind. The only downside to this is that Jin is the only blade that will not enjoy these effects, but Lora, Adam, and Hugo definitely will. And then finally, Summer Breeze. This is a great passive. I kind of wish this was in the main game itself because of Doom resistance, but this does reduce the chance of getting hit by debuffs by 40%, which is just invaluable most of the time. She has some pretty good specials too. The thing is though, Haze has really low damage even at S rank. She still does more damage than Cosmos at S+, but you know, like all things considered, she is mainly just there to give you that Wind Orb, and that's going to be about it. I've kind of went for more utility here. So what I decided to do, I gave her an Elemental Orb Ender. This is very important since everyone technically has Orb Master, so you're going to be seeing 8 orbs the majority of the time if you play your cards right. So I wanted to ensure that the very first move that we take is going to be a Broken Orb to ensure that we have a round extend. Not to mention that since Haze's Aux Cores also affects Lora, so let's say that Lora is a fire element and she hits a water element, that is going to be a Broken Water Orb. Just make sure that Haze is on the field. Sunlight Eye, I wanted to use this one because landing all of your hits is very important, especially if you're going for breaks with Lora. If you miss the second hit, that is your only chance to get the break, so you will have to either step cancel twice to get that art back, or sacrifice with the talent art. And then finally, Damage Heal. This is nice because we're going to go for a more passive playstyle for the level 100 super boss, so it's going to be very apparent why we need this, but this will essentially just heal you whenever you get hits, and we're not going to be really going with any crit recharge for this particular video. And yeah, I think that pretty much about does it. Lora is a really, really good driver overall, and again, like I said before, she was designed to be the person to carry you through the DLC. So if you're playing as Lora and you have most of the affinity charts of Jin and Haze filled out, then you're basically good to go. Haze and Jin also have great talent arts. Jin's ability allows him to just have more of everything upon sacrificing his HP, and if you got crit recharge, that just does not matter. The loss does not matter whatsoever, and increases your attack speed and your recharge speed as well as your damage. If you can, try to apply it before a chain attack before you initiate it. And then Haze has a very interesting kind of gimmick where she can essentially stop the movements of your enemies. It's not insanely useful, but it sees really, really great use in the super boss that we're going to be fighting for today's demonstration. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the video and show you that fight exactly. Alright, so here we are at the pedestal of stargazing, and what I've done before I started recording is that I've manipulated the time to ensure that it's going to be morning so that we get the full benefits of Sunlight Eye. So Hurricane Anise is an extremely, extremely deadly super boss, but the thing is though, like with most difficult things, as long as you have the right strategy to go along with it, you're going to do just fine. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to quickly switch over to Haze quickly, and then start spamming away with your Winds of Time. We have 2 pouch items that restore your art recharges, so it takes a couple of step cancels in order to get it all back. In the meantime though, we're going to have the rest of our teammates focus on getting their arts finished up. So for every special that they do, that is going to be 1 orb under our belts. So we have Electric and Darkness on us right now. And I will eventually have a level 4 special, so that's going to be something to keep in mind as well. Okay, we'll have a fire element. I should have just used Lora's level 1 to ensure we get that right off the bat, but honestly though, at least we have everyone else's chance, we just give everyone else a chance to charge. Okay, let's see if we can switch over to Minoth, get that dark element, and then we're going to have Hugo following up with the earth elements very, very soon, hopefully. So the thing about Winds of Time is that it does not stop them from attacking, all it does is just stop them from moving. The thing is, though, is that the movement is very important for them because that is going to dictate whether or not they will use a art on us, particularly the Feather Vein of Pain. So again, keep step canceling. All you do is just move just a tiny bit, move the stick a tiny bit whenever you do an auto attack, and you can see it's only going to take like 4 hits. Okay, so I think the only element we have left is going to be water, so let's hope for an Aegeon switch in soon. Here we go, that's Aegeon. So all we have to do now, the only elements that we're missing are wind. Yeah, the only elements that we're missing are wind and ice, so this is going to be pretty good. Unfortunately, I made a bit of an error here. I should have waited for the wind to be the level 3 so that we reset and go straight into the level 1. Anyways, we'll just start cancelling away. Okay, we got ourselves a level 3. So that is going to be an ice orb for us. And we can go. I could have tried to sneak in a talent art for Jin, but honestly though, we shouldn't need it because he's already at full affinity as it is. So again, Haze, the reason why I gave her the Elemental Orb Ender is to ensure that hits, and I know Adam hits quite a bit, so let's go have his level 1 special. Already this guy's at half HP, and we'll have Hugo have his fun. So one thing I want to point out is that Hugo does not have any S ranks on any of his blades, so I just want to point that out why his damage is substantially lower than Lora and Adam. Okay, so like I said, the Ox Cores apply to Lora, which is why that disappeared quickly. And we will have Minoth, because Minoth hits many, many times. I cannot wait to show you guys the showcase for this guy. He's a really good one. Let's see. I guess we'll have Aegeon. Bring everyone down to their last hit on the orbs. And now, all that's left is just for Jin to start going and doing Jin things, which is just tons and tons of damage. The cool thing about Jin is that you can basically, realistically, be expected to muscle your way through. I don't even have the Tachyon chips applied, and we're still doing crazy amounts of damage. Okay, here comes Mithra. Mithra's level 3 hits the most out of all of her specials, so I would ensure that you would do that first. Let's go for Hugo. I think the person that's going to end up doing the level 4 is going to be Adam, so let's go for Jin again. Jin has many hits on all of his specials. You can just tell they want him to be good. Okay, yeah, it has to be Adam. So let's go for Mithra again, and you guys get to hopefully enjoy the cinematic that follows. Unfortunately, the camera angle is really weird, so we might end up looking at more thigh than anything else. But we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's not so bad. Okay, I was a little bit worried. The last recording session that I had was literally just zoomed in on Mithra's thigh. So here's the thing about Hurricane Anise that I wanted to point out, is the fact that with Hurricane Anise, he does partway through summon with a warning cry a bunch of ads. The thing is though, if you're playing as Haze, and this is why Haze is so amazing, with her Winds of Time, she actually stops those guys from moving periodically, and you just continue spamming that while also firing off the specials of your teammates, meaning that they will just do all the work for you while you keep them safe. And even if you do have any mistakes, like this is the highest DPS boss out of all of them, and he was still not able to do very much damage to us just because we have all those bonuses from Haze's passives and also the Winds of Time just kind of kicking in for us. So what's going to happen now is that we're going to cut the video again, and I will show you guys to the second and final showcase, or super boss for this particular video, so see you guys there. Alrighty, so here we are at the Great Break Sands, and we're going to be fighting against a level 85 super boss, the second hardest super boss in the game. And it's a very annoying one because it has the ability to heal itself for more than you can do damage to it, not to mention that it can also dispel any of your elemental orbs. However, if you're playing as Jin, you can pretty much just muscle your way through it most of the time. But today what we're going to try doing is using the Bringer of Chaos strategy that I had a couple of weeks ago, where you would just go on ahead and then spam away with your driver fusion combos. So the thing is, I've given Lora the Goddess Choker and the Beta Scope, and I've made her second because I know she has the ability to lower the enemy resists, so we wanted to try to make use of that. I've also made Mithra be on point instead of Adam because I wanted to make sure we could stall the smash as soon as possible to ensure that we have plenty of time to get our offense set up. Okay, so here comes that break. And I would like very much for Hugo to come in. Okay, so here comes Hugo. And it's time for us to just kind of wait for that break to come in again. So I could try doing Swallow's Flight, but I actually, at this point, find that the... What's it called? I actually find that the recharge of step canceling is much faster if you have 2 items at your disposal. Okay, trying to go for that again. We keep missing those opportunities because we had a bit of a feint there. There's a bit of RNG in mind, but again, we have as many advantages as we have. There we go. Okay, so thankfully Mithra didn't switch in. Sometimes she has a tendency to switch in as you're activating the level 4 special, so I was a little bit worried there. But once you get the launch though, you're going to get plenty of damage. Alright. So what I'm going to try doing now is that I'm going to start spamming away. Yeah, try spamming away with my breaks, and switch to Jin, and we're gonna get a lot of damage out of this. Okay, he's at rage mode right now, so he's gonna be much more resistant to attacks. But the thing is, though, is that we're doing 118,000 damage per tick. And honestly, this guy's basically dead at this point. So, like we said before, Jin, crazy amounts of damage. If I activated this from behind, that would have been more, but that's okay. He does plenty as it is. And let's use Mithra, because that's what this guy's weak to. That's a really funny thing about Jin, is that you can easily just set up any form of offense, while also making really good use of Lora's ability to easily initiate driver combos. Remember, with more driver combos comes more damage because they get extra damage based on being toppled or launched. So yeah, like I said before, I just want to reiterate, the reason why I wanted to put Mithra on point instead of Adam is because we have that cooldown period. Not to mention that Adam also comes as an additional topple in case Hugo's busy doing something else or he's switched into Bridget. But yeah, that pretty much about does it for our very first Torna showcase. This is a really fun DLC, you guys. I'm having a lot of fun with this. And the thing about Lora is that she kind of represents what this DLC is all about. It's a much spammier kind of playstyle. It's very active. It's a lot of button pressing involved. But honestly, once you get past all that, you'll actually find that there's a lot more that's familiar than there is different about Torna, the Golden Country, and it's a really good thing though. So I look forward to seeing you guys for the next showcase. It's probably going to be the Atom one, but we're at the beginning of the end, you guys. This is one of 3 of what is possibly our last series of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 here on the channel, so hope to see you guys there. But until then, take care.